Have you ever worked hard toward a goal, only to hit it and feel totally empty? Or maybe you've lost motivation halfway through and thought, what's wrong with me? The truth is, nothing's wrong with you. You might just be missing one powerful thing: your purpose. In this fourth episode of the How to Do Hard Things series, I'm going to share the power of purpose and how I unlocked it to help me do the things that matter most. We'll start with misconceptions about purpose that held me back, a personal revelation that completely shifted my perspective, why purpose matters, and two strategies I've used to uncover my why. I've had my own misgivings about purpose that held me back from exploring my underlying why sooner. The biggest one is that I thought that purpose had to be this big mystical thing, but I learned that purpose doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes it's as simple as knowing why this moment matters. It also doesn't mean that I have to have my entire life figured out. I've since realized that it's a work in progress and my purpose might change over time. Finally, I confused purpose with milestones. Finish college, get a job, buy a house, start a family. I overly valued societal's expectations of me, things I should do with my life. By achieving those goals, I was successful on paper, but success without meaning isn't success, it's just performance. Without the underlying why that I connected to on a deeper level, the satisfaction from some of my achievements felt short lived, and I found myself looking to the next milestone to strive for. I was basically just checking off another box on my never ending to do list. I used to believe that willpower and determination were enough to reach any goal, until I burned out chasing one that wasn't even mine. I had the title, the salary, the success, but I didn't have a sense of purpose. I was in a role that I thought I should want. This situation started 7 years ago. I was selected to serve as the interim deputy director of the department I've been working for about 8 years. On paper, it was a big deal, and while I considered it to be an honor, I might have been a little more excited about the title and the pay scale than the actual job. The work had its moments, but the reality was brutal. Long hours, constant crises, it felt like I was just putting out one dumpster fire to the next. I couldn't point to anything meaningful I'd accomplished. I was exhausted, but I didn't truly know how unhappy I was until that year long appointment ended, at which point I looked around and realized that I had missed an entire year of my children's lives. I even did the math, working 60, 70 hours a week. I was making significantly less per hour than my previous job. Still, about a year later, the permanent position opened up. And even though I knew how draining it was, I felt like I should apply. People expected me to. And if I'm going to be totally honest, part of me wanted to, for the prestige, for the paycheck, for the free parking spot. And that part was my ego. So I applied. And I didn't get it. At first, I was devastated. I tend to take every rejection letter personally, even for the jobs that I don't truly want. But when I sat with it, I realized my disappointment came from two things I'm not particularly proud of: the loss of a fancy title and the feeling that I had let others down. People had spoken about the job as if it were already mine. No one had expected me not to get it. But once I got past the embarrassment, a surprising emotion came up: relief. The truth was, I didn't want the job. I was burnt out. I wasn't doing work that I cared about. I didn't even know what my kids had been up to. And for what? When I look back to the parts of the role that had energized me, what actually aligned with my strengths and gave me a sense of purpose, it wasn't that job at all. It was one with a more modest title and paycheck, but work that mattered to me. And that's the job that I have now. I wish I had the foresight and self awareness to make that decision on my own, but not getting that promotion was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Also, side note, the person who was hired for the job ended up being my boss, which could have been awkward. But when I found out who had been selected, I instantly understood why. She was a great pick and ended up being one of the best bosses I've ever had. So it really was a win win for everyone. Fast forward to now, even nearly 5 years later, I still feel energized by the challenges and the impact I get to make. And now, because I'm no longer drowning in 70-hour work weeks, in addition to spending quality time with my family, I also have the space to pursue things that light me up, like coaching and this YouTube channel. Here's my hard won lesson. When my motivation is external, like money, status, other people's approval, I'll always feel like something is missing, even when I achieve success. But when I tap into a deeper sense of purpose, something that comes from within, the path becomes more fulfilling, even if it's not always easy. That can be especially hard when the expectations come from people we care about, like our family, mentors, or our community. But at the end of the day, if we're not living our purpose, whose life are we really living? Here's the thing, purpose isn't just a nice idea, it's essential fuel. When things get hard, and they will, it keeps us going. A clear why gives meaning to the tough moments. It helps us stay focused, motivated, and resilient. And when we know why something matters to us, not our boss, not our parents, not our resume, we show up differently. We lead differently. We live differently. As women, especially in leadership, we receive the message to hustle harder, perform more, or constantly prove ourselves. But when leadership is rooted in purpose, everything shifts. Instead of asking, am I doing enough? Which leads straight to burnout, believe me, we can ask, am I doing what matters most? The truth is, we can't do it all, and no fancy planner or productivity hack is going to fix that. But when we align our time and energy with our purpose, we can do what matters most with more clarity, confidence, and impact. Purpose driven goals don't just keep us going, they keep us grounded. Here's how. The first is that they help us to stay motivated. When our goals are connected to what matters most to us, we're more likely to stick with it, even when it's hard. The second is that life feels more meaningful. It's not just about checking boxes. We wake up knowing we're working towards something bigger. The third is that we stay focused. Distractions are everywhere, but purpose acts like our compass. It keeps us heading in the right direction. So, yes, our purpose fuels our progress, but more than that, it shapes a life that's true to us. So, now you might be thinking, okay, I get why purpose matters, but how do I actually figure out what mine is? Great question. I'll now share two strategies that help me to uncover my purpose because it was already within me. I just needed the right questions to bring it to the surface. This first strategy is when you already have a goal that you're working towards and haven't stopped to think about the underlying reason why this goal calls to you. It's one simple question that can unlock motivation, focus, and drive, inspired by a problem solving method created by the founder of Toyota. Ask why 5 times to really get to the heart of it, but instead of uncovering the problem, we're going to uncover the purpose. So that we don't come off as an annoying child, we can ask ourselves things like, why is this important? Why does this matter? Why now? The more we explore, the more we'll uncover about ourselves and what truly matters to us. This is how I applied the 5 whys model to my goal of creating a YouTube channel. First, why do I want to create this channel? Because I think that it could help me expand my leadership and career coaching practice. Why? Because coaching feels fulfilling and energizing, and I want to do more of it. Why? Because I get to grow personally while helping others develop as leaders. It's a win win for me and the people I coach. Why does this matter? Because I had to learn leadership the hard way. It felt really isolating, and most times I was completely winging it. That didn't feel great. And if I had coaching and guidance earlier, I might have avoided some of the pitfalls that are obvious to me now after my years of experience. I want to help make it less stressful for people to grow as leaders because being responsible for your work and the work of others is hard enough as it is. Why? We spend a lot of time at work, and work has the potential to be a wonderful source of personal fulfillment and positive social impact. What drives me is the idea that no one should have to go it alone. Whether it's creating processes, providing trainings, or coaching through challenges, the work that I enjoy the most revolves around fostering growth and support for others. It feels incredibly rewarding to help others navigate challenges, grow, and thrive. Did you notice that I got progressively deeper as I continued to ask myself why? I didn't even make that last connection between the underlying purpose and all of the work that most fulfills me, not just this goal of starting a YouTube channel, until I asked myself why a fifth time. Even though I know from past experience that this method works, I'm still amazed at how effective it is. And once I knew my why, I stopped chasing every should and started living from a place of purpose. What if you don't know what your goals are yet? I'm going to now share a 6-step roadmap that can help you figure out what matters to you and how to make it a reality. I was inspired by 3 different sources when creating this process: Rob and Steve Schallenberger, Victor Strecker, and Marcia Reynolds. The first step is to start with what truly matters to you by identifying your core values. Not just the nice to have values, but the ones that, when honored, make you feel truly alive and fulfilled. When identifying your values, it can be helpful to choose from a menu. So, click the link in the description for a list of values, as well as guiding questions and other resources referenced in this video to help you unlock your purpose. Some other ways you can uncover your values is by asking yourself, what kind of impact do I want to make in the world? What values must be present for my life to feel meaningful? My core values are personal growth, integrity, service for others, compassion, and last but definitely not least, family. The impact that I want to make is for my family to know in their bones that they are loved and cherished. I also want to be my personal best, and I want to pave the way forward so that people aren't struggling in isolation, and rather they feel supported to live out a purpose filled life. Step 2, define the future you want to become. So now that you know what drives you, zoom out and envision your ideal life, not just the achievements, but the kind of person that you want to become. What qualities or traits do you admire in mentors or role models? What would you want your legacy to be? What do you want written on your obituary about the kind of life you led? This is where your purpose really starts to take shape. It's not about being someone else, it's about becoming the most intentional version of you. I admire people who stand up for what's right, who overcome adversity, who lead with compassion and kindness, who are thoughtful and considerate of others, who own their mistakes and uplift others, and all the while do what they need to do to refill their cup in the process. Here's a legacy I hope to leave. Anne's love for her family was unwavering. They always knew they were deeply loved and inherently worthy. She used lessons from her own struggles to lift others up, helping them overcome obstacles and create meaningful, fulfilling careers. As a lifelong learner, Anne showed up as her authentic self and inspired others to do the same. She led with compassion, kindness, and thoughtfulness, never losing sight of her own worth. She didn't just speak her values, she lived them. Turn purpose into a personal vision is the third step. And here's where we connect the dots. We look at our values, our role models, our legacy, and then we write a personal vision statement. This is what anchors you when the road gets tough. You want it to be bigger than you, but deeply personal. My vision statement is to lead with courage and compassion, grow with integrity, and serve others in a way that honors my family and my truth. The fourth step is to break your vision into goals. We're going to now write a set of SMART goals that will bring your purpose to life. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. It may be tempting to skip this step, but it is critical. There's this study conducted by Strava, which is a software company that tracks cycling and running exercises. And they observed that the most common date for people to ditch their New Year's resolution is January 19th. That is less than 3 weeks into the year. Compare that to 88% of runners who set a SMART goal, and they were still running 6 months later. What are the SMART goals that will make your vision a reality? Here are mine. Establish a regular self-compassion practice by listening to 10 minutes of guided meditations first thing in the morning for the next 30 days. Launch a group coaching program for early career professionals in the public and social sectors by July 8th. Take 45-minute walks with my family after work 4 times a week where there's no distractions and the focus is on enjoying each other's company. Okay, so 2 of my goals are more like habits, but that's the point, to develop lifelong behaviors that will help make my vision a reality. I'm not looking to make a quick fix for an instant glow up, because purpose isn't just one big thing, it's how you show up everywhere. Step 5, plan your week around what matters most. Here's a habit that makes everything else happen: planning for the week ahead. Before your week begins, look at your goals and ask, what specific actions this week will move me closer to my purpose? Where can I schedule time for what matters most before the distractions take over? It's not about doing more, it's about focusing on what matters. For me, once a quarter, I set goals that support my vision and then work backwards to plan out my weekly activities to achieve those goals. Then, on a weekly basis, I revisit those activities over the weekend and schedule them out for the week to come. I also have a daily morning ritual where I assess my progress and make sure that I'm still on track. Did I accomplish what I had set out to do the day before? If not, why? What was holding me back? What do I need to focus on to move forward? What do I need to let go of, defer, or delegate? I love this time that's just for me. It's early in the morning before my family wakes up, and it's a cup of coffee and my journal and my thoughts. Sometimes I can only fit in 5 minutes a day, and that's still worthwhile. It's an inspiring way for me to start my day, and when I skip it, I feel the loss. We've now arrived at the sixth step, which is to celebrate the progress, not just the outcome. This sixth and final step is hands down the most overlooked and so crucial. Our brain needs wins to keep going, and we don't want to wait until the finish line to feel proud. Angela Duckworth is the author of Grit, and she says that success is not a one time event, it's a continuous journey. This step is so critical that I dedicated an entire episode to it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you there.